I just realized that I didn't do a Connecticut Yankee review after I finished listening to it because I did finish it. I don't know, 4 days ago, maybe. I don't know, maybe longer. I don't know. This week, sometime I finished it. Um, and it's not going to be a thing I'll listen to again. Well, the only difference, I mean, because who the reader matters. This was a Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain. Mac Boyle, my friend Mac, recommended a certain reading, and the library didn't have it, so I got another reading. But it was an unabridged reading and audio book, obviously. And I listened to it all the way through, and it's hard to say what it was really. I mean, about what the overarching theme. I don't know. I mean, because it wasn't very clear cut. It was like a bunch of stories together. This one guy, a bunch of stories, and one guy put together, and I'm really not good with language that's got a lot of these and thous, and it's Old English, and the guy, 20th century, early 20th, no wait, 19th century. So because Twain wrote it in 1889, so it's older than I thought. But okay, so this dude goes back 13 centuries in the past, and language is really hard for me to follow. So it's like, yeah, I listened to it, but I don't know exactly what it was about. I mean, I guess I got the forest for the trees. Maybe I kind of, it was amusing, and some of the things he says were kind of funny. But it didn't really stick with me really well. Yeah. So I'm actually listening to something else now. After I finished that, I searched. Well, I was just looking at science fiction fantasy titles they had at the library, and the one that popped out at me that I'm listening to now is Time Enough for Love by Robert Heinlein, which I did read a long time ago. Robert Heinlein was my favorite author in high school, I think, because there's a book, Stranger in a Strange Land. I read it all the way through maybe 8 times. I mean, it was, my copy is, I still have it. I wrote in it, and the spine's broken. I retaped it together. I mean, I really did a number of that book because I love it. And Time Enough for Love, it's inch and a half, inch and a half thick, probably, which I can't read that nowadays. I'm such a short attention span. In the audiobook, the reading is 23 hours long. But listened to a lot of it the other day, and I was bussing. So I've listened to 5 or 6 hours already. And what I remember about this story is I skimmed a lot because it's heavy science. I mean, he goes into talking about genetics, which is kind of interesting, but I just kind of skimmed, probably 20 pages at a time, 20 here, 29. I skimmed. So I'm not listening with my full mind, I don't think, when I'm doing this audiobook. The neat thing about this story, I think, similar to Connecticut Yankee, it doesn't have one. Well, there is kind of an arching storyline, but it's like Connecticut Yankee. It's a bunch of stories put together because this guy, the main character, is the longest living human, and he's gone through the regeneration process twice. He's 2,300 years old. He talks about all these different, things he did. And he talks about his different professions, and it's like a bunch of little stories this guy tells all in one book. I mean, so I'm enjoying it, but I'm not listening to it really closely. Um, yeah, well, that got off topic. Yankee got off on that topic. But see, my point is, even though I've started listening to my favorite authors, because Mark Twain and Robert Heinlein are two of my favorites, I'm going to listen to other authors and learn some storytelling do's and don'ts to put into my own toolbox, because that's what Stephen King called it, toolbox. I remember from on writing a story about his toolbox, and a real life story, of course. His dad, instead of saying go inside and give me the 1/8 socket, he'd be like, bring me my tool chest. He'd be out by the car, and Stephen would bring this 50-pound toolbox. He's carrying it out there, and Dad pulled out the 1/8 socket, and that's all I need. I mean, it's just like, to illustrate that when you have your tools, they all go with you. And you might just use one little thing, but they all go with you. And authors have big toolboxes, and I'm that's my point of getting the storytelling from different sources, different kinds of authors. Probably going to different genres. I'll probably listen to a western. I'll probably listen to a romance. I'll probably listen to a mystery. I mean, and these are storytelling techniques that I can take with me. They are tools I can take with me. I can put into my works. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.